Amara dropped the heavy bucket of water onto the kitchen floor, the cold splash soaking her thin slippers. She gasped and instinctively bent to mop it up before anyone noticed. Her small hands were trembling from exhaustion, but she knew that hesitation meant more yelling. "Why are you moving so slowly?" Her mother's sharp voice cut through the morning silence like a whip. Amara froze, her eyes lowering to the water-stained tiles. "Sorry, Mama. I was just..." "Sorry," her mother barked, cutting her off. "Sorry doesn't scrub the floor. Sorry doesn't cook lunch. Sorry doesn't wash clothes. If you had never been born, I wouldn't have to suffer like this." Amara kept scrubbing silently, willing herself to become invisible. Her younger brother walked into the kitchen, yawning. "Mom, is breakfast ready?" "Yes, sweetheart." Her mother cooed suddenly, her voice soft as if nothing had happened. "Go sit at the table." Amara's stomach twisted. Her brother didn't even glance at her as he passed. She lowered her head and carried the bucket to the sink to rinse it. Her mother pointed at a pile of dirty dishes. "After that, scrub the floors in the front hall. Then sweep the yard. And make sure you finish before your siblings come home." "Yes, Mama," Amara whispered. This was every morning. Before sunrise, she rose to do chores while her siblings ate breakfast, got ready, and left for school without a care. She cooked, cleaned, washed clothes, and carried water. She worked until her back ached, her fingers raw. And all the while, her mother reminded her of the reason she existed. "You ruined my life," her mother would say, over and over. "You are the reason your father left. You're the child nobody wanted." Amara cried herself to sleep for years. Later, she stopped crying. Now, she simply worked. Silence was safer than arguing, and obedience was her shield. That afternoon, she carried a heavy basket of clothes to the yard. Her arms burned, the sun beating down on her head. Across the fence, her neighbor, Mrs. Adebayo, shook her head. "That girl is always working," she muttered. Amara's mother saw her glance and scowled. "What are you staring at?" "She's still a child," Mrs. Adebayo whispered. "She's the reason your father abandoned us," her mother snapped. "She should be grateful I let her stay alive under my roof." Amara's stomach sank. Every word pierced her, but she kept her head down. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Amara sat by the window holding her small, tattered notebook. Inside were letters she had been writing for years, to a father she had never met. "Dear Dad," she whispered, tracing the letters with her finger. "I don't know if you would ever want to meet me. Mama says you hated me before I was even born. I don't know what I did wrong. But if you ever see this, I want you to know I tried to be a good daughter." Tears slipped down her cheeks as she closed the notebook. If you've ever felt blamed for something you didn't do, leave a comment below. Sharing your story can make someone else feel less alone. And if you enjoy powerful emotional stories like this, make sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps more people discover stories that matter. The next morning started the same. "Amara," her mother yelled. "Yes, Mama." Amara replied, rushing to the kitchen. "Finish these dishes. Then cook breakfast. Your siblings leave for school soon." Her younger brother walked past, smirking. "Still playing maid?" Amara didn't answer. Silence was safer. Later, she was sent to deliver food to her brother's school. Walking down the dusty street, she heard a familiar voice. "Amara?" She turned. Mr. Daniel, her old teacher, smiled gently. "I haven't seen you in class for months. Why did you stop coming?" "My mother said there is too much work at home," Amara mumbled. "You were one of my brightest students," he said firmly. "Education can change your life. You don't deserve to be stuck like this." Before she could reply, her brother appeared, tugging the food container. "Come on." Mom said hurry. Mr. Daniel handed her a small book. "Keep studying whenever you can. You'll need it one day." That night, under the dim candlelight, Amara opened the book. For the first time in years, a small spark of hope flickered in her chest. Weeks later, at her uncle's house during a family gathering, Amara was serving food while the others laughed and joked. She overheard voices arguing nearby. "You can't keep hiding the truth from her," said one woman. "She deserves to know," another whispered. Amara froze. "What are you talking about?" One voice snapped. "The father didn't reject her because he hated her. whispered the second voice. He left because he believed the baby wasn't his. Amara's hands shook. The tray she carried slipped, water spilling onto the floor. Her breath caught. Wasn't his. Her mother told him the baby belonged to someone else. The woman continued. He was devastated. And this girl has suffered for years because of that lie. Amara's world tilted. The tray clattered to the ground. Silence fell. Both women looked at her, startled. Tell me. Amara whispered. What lie? You weren't supposed to hear this, said the older woman nervously. I want the truth. Amara said, voice shaking. Her aunt took a deep breath. Your father never hated you. He left because your mother told him the baby wasn't his. Amara's knees weakened. Everything she had believed was unraveling. If this story has gripped you so far, keep watching. Amara's journey to uncover the truth and find her father will shock you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you won't miss the next part. For the first time, Amara felt a fire she had never known. Anger. Confusion. Hope. She whispered to herself. I have to find him. I have to know. The next few weeks passed like a blur. Amara still did her chores, still obeyed her mother's harsh commands, but her mind was elsewhere, consumed with one thought. Her father. Every chance she got, she asked her aunt quietly, Do you know where my father is? Most people avoided her eyes. Most people pretended not to hear. But finally, one afternoon, her aunt pulled her aside. I heard he moved to Lagos, she said softly. He runs a construction company now. Something called Adeyemi Builders. But I don't know much more. Lagos. Her pulse quickened. That was the city her father had disappeared into years ago. Her stomach twisted with fear and anticipation. That night, she wrote in her notebook, hands trembling. Dear Dad, I think I might have a chance to find you. I'm scared, but I need to know the truth. I need to see you, to hear from you. She closed the notebook and took a deep breath. For the first time in her life, she made a decision. She would leave. She would go to Lagos. The next morning, she spoke quietly to her mother. Mama, I want to continue my education. There is a scholarship in Lagos. I can study and work at the same time. Her mother's face twisted in anger. You want to leave this house? You think the world will care for you after everything I've done? For the first time, Mama, I want to choose something for myself. Amara said, her voice trembling but firm. The room was silent. Her mother stared at her for what felt like hours, then scoffed. Fine. Go. Let the world teach you the lessons I tried to teach you. Amara packed a small bag in the days that followed, carrying only the essentials and her treasured notebook. 3 weeks later, she stood at the crowded bus station, heart pounding, the city before her unfamiliar and overwhelming. She glanced back at the small home she had always known. Her mother hadn't come to see her off. Her siblings were inside, unaware of the momentous step she was taking. As the bus rumbled forward, Amara whispered to herself, Dad, wherever you are, I'm coming. Arriving in Lagos was like stepping into another world. The streets were alive with blaring horns, shouting vendors, and people rushing everywhere. Amara clutched her bag tightly, every step making her feel smaller, yet braver at the same time. The scholarship program was everything Mr. Daniel had promised. She worked during the day, learning hands-on skills at a local store, and attended classes in the evenings. For the first time, she felt like she was building her own life. One afternoon, her supervisor handed her a file. Take this to Adeyemi Builders, the main office in town, he instructed. Her heart froze. Adeyemi Builders. The very name her aunt had mentioned. Her legs moved on autopilot as she walked toward the towering office building. Inside, the receptionist looked up with a polite smile. Who are you here to see? I have some documents to deliver, Amara said, her voice barely audible. Please wait, the receptionist said. A few minutes later, a tall man emerged from the office. He looked to be in his late 50s, his presence commanding yet calm. Amara's heart skipped. Something about him seemed familiar. He stopped mid-step, his eyes locking on her. A flicker of recognition crossed his face. You look exactly like someone I once loved, he said softly. Amara's hands tightened around the file. What was her name? She asked, her voice quivering. Grace, he replied. Her mother's name. Amara's heart pounded. Could this really be him? Could this man really be her father? Who are you? He asked cautiously. My name is Amara, she whispered. I think I might be your daughter. The man's eyes widened in shock. Silence hung heavy in the office. That's impossible, he murmured. But something in his gaze betrayed uncertainty. Maybe, Amara said softly, or maybe it's time we find out the truth. Tears brimmed in both their eyes. For the first time in her life, Amara felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel before. Hope. They sat together, talking slowly, sharing pieces of their lives, bits and fragments of what had happened in the years they'd been apart. I left because I was told. I believed she wasn't mine, he said quietly, his voice breaking. I never wanted to leave her. I would have done anything to protect her. But the truth I heard, I couldn't trust it. Amara's voice trembled. I've spent my whole life thinking you hated me, that I ruined everything. But now I understand it wasn't true. He reached out, holding her hand gently. It wasn't your fault. You never did anything wrong. It was all lies and misunderstandings. Amara felt warmth spread through her chest. The anger and pain she had carried for years began to fade, replaced by something she had only dreamed of, belonging. But just as relief began to take hold, a thought hit her. What about her mother? What about the years of torment? She couldn't ignore it. That evening, Amara called her mother from a borrowed phone. Mama. I found him. I found Dad. There was a long pause on the other end. Then her mother's voice came, quieter than Amara had ever heard. I didn't know, she admitted. I thought I was protecting you. I thought it was easier to keep you close, to make you work, so you'd survive. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Mama, I don't hate you, but I can't live under lies anymore. I needed to find the truth. You're right, her mother whispered. I'm sorry. Amara hung up and looked at the Lagos skyline, breathing deeply. She had done it. She had faced the fear, crossed the city, and found her father. And, in the process, she had found herself. If you've ever wanted to find someone or something important in your life, tell us in the comments below. And if you're inspired by Amara's courage, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the final part of her journey. The next morning, Amara woke with a strange mix of nerves and excitement. Today, she would meet her father again. Not in a crowded office, but somewhere private, somewhere that could allow them to speak freely. She had arranged to meet him at a quiet cafe near the office. Her father arrived first, looking tense yet hopeful. When Amara walked in, their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. Finally, he stood and reached out a hand. Amara? She nodded, tears brimming. Yes, that's me. They sat across from each other. Amara could feel the weight of years of lies, pain, and misunderstanding hovering between them. I never knew, he said, his voice breaking. I thought I had lost you forever. I was told. I believed the worst. I didn't want to accept it, but pride feared it stopped me from searching. Amara's lips trembled. I've spent my whole life thinking you hated me, that I ruined your life before I was even born. He shook his head. Never. Not once. I loved your mother. I loved you. I left because I thought you weren't mine, and I was devastated. I never stopped thinking about you. A lump formed in Amara's throat. She wanted to scream with relief, laugh with disbelief, and cry all at once. I worked myself to exhaustion, she admitted. I lived under constant blame, believing I was the reason for everything bad that happened. But I know now it wasn't my fault. Her father reached across the table, holding her hands in his. It was never your fault. I'm so sorry, Amara. I want to be in your life now, if you'll let me. Amara felt warmth flood her chest. I do want that. But there's something else I need to face first. She thought of her mother. The woman who had raised her but had hidden the truth, who had made her life unbearable. Later that evening, she called her mother again. Mama, I met him. I met Dad. Her mother's silence was heavy, almost unbearable. I know, she finally said, voice trembling. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if you believed I was the only one who cared, you'd survive. But I see now. I made you suffer. I'm so sorry, Amara. Tears streamed down Amara's face. I don't hate you, Mama. But I can't live under lies anymore. I need to live my life with truth. I need to choose my own path. Her mother's voice cracked. I understand. I was wrong. Forgive me. I forgive you, Amara whispered. For the first time, she felt free. Free from blame. Free from guilt. Free from fear. She had faced the truth and survived. The next few weeks were filled with learning, laughter, and awkward but growing familiarity. Amara spent time with her father, discovering pieces of herself she hadn't known existed. The parts that came from him. She felt the connection she had been craving her whole life. One afternoon, they sat in a quiet park, watching children play. Do you think we can ever fix the past? Amara asked quietly. Her father shook his head slowly. We can't change what happened, but we can decide what happens next. We can build something better. Amara smiled. Yes, something better. She felt lighter than she had in years. She had endured cruelty, blame, and neglect, but she had survived. She had fought for herself, for truth, and now she could finally live. Amara's story didn't end there. She continued her studies, worked, and slowly rebuilt her life in Lagos. Her relationship with her mother remained complicated, but the truth had created space for understanding. And most importantly, she had found her father, the missing piece of her life. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most aren't doing it out of hate. They're acting out of fear, pride, or misguided protection. But when the truth finally comes to light, it can change everything. If you've been inspired by Amara's courage, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs hope today. And remember, every story like Amara's deserves to be told. Subscribe to Infinite Tales to join our family of viewers who witness powerful, emotional journeys every week. As Amara walked home from the cafe that evening, she felt the city's hum beneath her feet. Lagos had once seemed overwhelming, hostile, and lonely. Now it felt full of opportunity, a place where she could grow, learn, and be herself. Her father walked beside her, asking questions about her life, her dreams, her hopes. She laughed for the first time in years without fear. Amara knew the journey ahead would not always be easy. There would be challenges, moments of doubt, and days when the past would try to pull her back. But she had learned a vital lesson. Truth, courage, and perseverance can change a life completely. And as she looked at the horizon, the sun sinking into the Lagos skyline, she whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." Because it was. The years of abuse, of false blame, and misunderstanding had forged her resilience. And now, Amara could finally step forward into a life she chose for herself, one filled with love, family, and the truth she had fought so hard to find. If this story moved you, comment below with what you would do if you were in Amara's shoes. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Your support helps bring more incredible stories to life.